And I'm Brad Hathcock. Good to see you, buddy. Look
Good to
like
see
an
you too.
old fucking man today.
Uh, some days I put a little effort in, some days I just don't.
Do you
Um,
ever just pull your hair back into like a ponytail?
I could do that now. Yeah, I have. Yeah, to keep it out of my face.
What's the end game here?
I th- I I thought I had one, but I don't. I should take. I should get it. I should get somebody to cut my hair, or I should get
S-
it like styled.
So I've known you, what, 4 years now? 3 years?
Probably. Yeah.
Not four because we would have been friends during COVID and that would have been a fun time.
Yeah.
But we didn't know each other during COVID, so um, it's been 3 years. I've seen you with short hair. And I've seen you with like mid-length hair, but you're getting into like Keanu Reeves length hair right now.
It's something that like I don't want to get rid of it now because I'm kind of like I feel like it works for me. Maybe it works for me.
You're
I
digging it?
like it.
Like I don't think it doesn't work for you.
It's just
It's
different.
different. Yeah, from seeing you with short hair. I'm not gonna lie, you
Like
look
with
kind
short
of
hair, I look a
douchey
lot
with short
younger.
hair.
But like, if I got it colored, if I had somebody like style it, maybe it would look better. I don't know. I don't know what to
It's
do here.
fucking gray, dude. But it not that that's like a big deal, right? Like my grandfather had gray hair from the time he was like in his late 20s, and the
Yeah.
chicks were digging it.
Huh?
Now
I mean,
that
I was
that looks
always
like
told
you
that.
almost did it on purpose.
Really? I've
Yeah,
heard that before. I heard somebody at the store. They said, "Why did you color your hair that way?" And I was like, "No, it's just natural."
it's
I
that
was,
gray. That's what I mean. Like it looks like you would have colored it because you're not even 40, so people wouldn't think that you would have that much gray hair.
oh, I'll be 40 in a couple months though.
I also cut down my beard. It's very
Yeah, you went Viking
short.
for the picture, the family pictures.
No, I shaved just before that.
Oh,
I
okay.
was trying to annoy my mother.
Well, I'm sure you succeeded in some fashion. Um, you were gone for like a week and a half, and I think the last time we talked, we were like, the next time we record another podcast, some crazy shit's gonna happen, probably. Kind of did.
It did happen, yes, but
So here's the
what
thing.
of the crazy shit do we want to get into really? Because that whole week, the 10 days I was gone, I was visiting family, so we weren't going to podcast, was a very crazy 10 days
Yeah, very
in as
eventful.
far as like news goes and everything else. So, what do you want to jump on?
Okay, well, there's a few things. One, I'm introducing a new segment today, so we could either do that now or we could do it at the end. It's a
Is
lighter
it
item, so
more
maybe
a lighter item?
yeah.
Okay, we should probably save that for the end because I also
Okay.
have something for the end as well.
Okay. As far as news goes, I don't I don't actually know much about it, but I do want to at least mention it that there were Maduro in Venezuela, basically like he lost the election, but he's trying to stay in power, which is kind of gnarly. And the other one was Bangladesh. There was a coup, the government fell, and now like
Oh,
Hindus are being
I
slaughtered apparently.
Yeah, so I didn't hear as much about the coup in Bangladesh, and I know you had brought it up, I believe, in our group chat, but I did not get time to fully delve into that. As a matter of fact, I was so disconnected from my phone last week that Apple will show you your average time on device for the week. I had it down to take a guess. Take a guess at
uh
how little it was.
well, you mean like the whole trip?
Uh, just ballpark because it said for like a week. So for 1 week, how low do you think my usage went on my phone?
Gosh, I would say based on the amount of time you were interacted with us, maybe like an hour and a half. Damn. Yeah, I wouldn't even know. 45 minutes. Good for you. 25?
26 minutes a day
Huh.
for an entire week. 26 minutes a day of phone
You know,
usage.
people would say that's probably pretty healthy to take a break every once in a while, but you didn't have a choice. But still, how do you did you feel better?
I had a choice. I just wasn't doing it. Like I just wasn't really on my phone. I was spending time with my sister, um, spending time with my mom. You know, other family members and stuff like that, meeting professional hockey players, things of that nature. So I just didn't have an interest in being on my phone. I mean, obviously, I miss talking to you guys about the news. Sadly enough, it's one of the highlights of my day. But I think the real feat here is that I went from an average of like 8 hours a day on my phone to 26 minutes. Like
Good for
that.
you.
And I didn't fucking miss it really at all.
Well, part of the problem with the modern phones is that they've got the thumbprint scanner, so you can like log into your phone immediately. And for whatever reason, that's made me use my phone like even more than ever because it's so easy to pick it up and just hold down the button. Like,
Oh, see,
I don't know why,
Apple
but
doesn't even do that anymore. They had that, but now they're on full facial recognition.
ugh. Okay, so yeah, that all happened. Um,
So explain the Bangladesh coup to me a little bit
I
here.
don't,
What
I
info
can't,
you got?
I don't have any info. I saw today that there was like a mass murder happening of Hindus by Islamists. They overthrew the government and they were killing Hindu people.
The
But it's like
Islamists?
the Islamists. I don't know how any of this stuff works really. Like, who knew Bangladesh was such a hotbed of radical Islam? I don't know.
I
Because
mean,
you always meet
I
guys that are.
guess.
I've met a couple Bangladesh guys. You could tell by their accent. They sound a little different from your Indian accent. You know, they're relatively cool. I don't. I've never encountered like a violent Bangladeshi, but you give me a minute, I might be able to pull something up on it. If you want to talk about,
Well, apparently there's a couple of them since they just, had a coup
eh?
and ousted the government. I think that one maybe deserves a little bit more of a deep dive because I don't know if you recall a segment that I did previously. It might have been on one of my solo podcasts, the Bradcast, called "Will Your Government Kill You?"
Yes.
And the answer is always yes. I mean,
The answer is
100% they
yes, even in
will.
America.
So, like, you don't even have to really watch the segment. The answer is always yes to that question. So, I mean, and to your point, yes, even here in America, because Obama killed an American citizen and is facing no repercussions for that. So
Well,
that's
and then
true.
there was the whole. There may or may not have been large mass murders happening in the mid '90s, let's say, in Texas. So it's it's happened before.
I mean, the government may or may not have bombed Black Wall Street back in the day.
Oh,
So,
yeah. It goes pretty far
the answer
back.
is yes. Um,
Okay,
so
okay, this is
maybe
the
that
first
needs
headline.
revisiting.
Let me pull up the headline though, and then we'll move on. Bangladesh's Gen Z revolution toppled the PM in Bangladesh.
Oh boy, um,
Are we
their
doing this?
Gen
Are we really
Z,
doing that?
their Gen Z must be pretty useful for overthrowing the government. Ours couldn't do anything like that. That's for fucking sure.
Actually, I've heard that Gen Z in America is actually kind of cool. Maybe not all of them, but better than the ones that came before them. I'll say.
I guess. I know some, family included. I guess it depends. I guess on the context of what they're being cool about.
Um, I think they're
Because
less
like,
offended.
is there one generation or race or whatever of people that are just always cool and like
Yeah, Gen X, man.
I don't think so.
Yeah, they gave us the best music. They're the ones who've never been in political power, and they never will be. They're just kind of cool. They were listening to Nirvana when it came out. They're cool.
Okay, I don't know that makes a break.
Yeah, they were there. They listened to Alice in Chains, and they were like not into politics, and they were like on MTV when it first came out, and they were like listening to Headbangers Ball and stuff. Like they seem
I
cool to me.
listened to Headbangers Ball. I'm considered a
Yeah, I did too,
millennial.
but we're also cool. I'm lumping us in with them because we're not going to be in political power either. Although candidate Brad Hathcock for president is apparently trending.
Pedo has been
I
our
heard.
friend our friend Pete, has
You don't
been
have to out him
trying to
like
get
that.
me to take a foray into politics.
I told him that it's hard enough being your friend as it is. I don't want to support you for president too.
He was telling me to go local. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not
Well,
from
you
the
should.
area where I live.
I mean, I would recommend people who actually do want to see change, like run
They
for
pay
local
this
office.
the city manager. It's all public knowledge. They pay
Yeah,
the city manager of my small town anywhere from like I think 125 to $150,000 a year, and I'm
that's
willing to
pretty
bet it's
good.
on the higher end.
Well, yeah, Pennsylvania is weird because like you guys have like, oh, it's the Northampton Township Council and the guy's, a contracted leader or whatever. Like it's weird out there. Doesn't
It
make any
is pretty
sense to me.
weird. And well, it's
Uh
like such a small area. Like we have a population of like 35,000 or something like that for the whole area. So it can't be that hard of a job, right?
I don't know. No, nobody's ever tried, right? Like you never wake up in the morning and go, I'm gonna be the water guy for the community services, and it's like that seems like kind of a bad job. But okay, so speaking of Pennsylvania, we could talk about that, or you want to mention Israel? Israel killed the leader of Hamas in Iran.
Okay, I guess we're starting there. Yeah,
Yeah,
it wasn't just one assassination, Aaron. There was two assassinations that were actually made by Israel against
actually,
terrorist
yeah,
leaders.
I would say
Yeah. So,
three because they got the guy. Okay, they got the guy who did the 1983 Beirut
yep,
Marine
yep.
bombing. I think 241 people died in that bombing, so that was a big one. Then they got the head of Hamas. They got the political, the Korean Jean Pierre of Hamas, and then they got
I thought they got the second in command as
I
well.
think they got the second in command, and they got somebody from Hezbollah as well.
Yes. So they did one of these assassinations was actually in Iran,
That was the
um,
big one. They planted a
which
bomb 2 months ago
right,
inside the room where he stayed.
which is
Hafia.
fucking cool. That's fucking cool. I like
How do
that.
you manage to pull that one off? If
Well,
you know what, and you know why Israel took credit for it, because they want Iran to know that they can get them anywhere.
well, absolutely. There's a huge posturing right now from Israel, right? Like Biden just basically found out that Netanyahu had been lying to him about the hostage situation and stuff like that.
I would lie to him too.
Dealing with Hamas. He's basically manipulated the U.S. into backing them carte blanche. Um, and now we're seeing Iran want to retaliate because Israel has apparently the strength to go deep into it was in like Tehran. It wasn't in a middle of nowhere fucking town in Iran. Like it was
Actually,
in a
it's the
huge
equivalent
city.
of the vice president's house in Washington D.C. That's
Right.
that's the building.
That's exactly. So like clearly they can get to them and that should be alarming. But I think they also did it on a day where the new president was being sworn in
Yeah,
Iran. So, they're kind of attacking them, which for better or worse, however you feel, like you kind of it's kind of like a terrorist attack, right? Because like you're just getting in there and killing people, but it's targeted as opposed to like widespread, so it's a little bit different. But do you believe Iran should be able to be pissed off about getting attacked on their own soil, essentially? Because that's what that ultimately is.
well, no. I mean, they can be pissed all they want, but the only reason why
But you don't
Hamas
think
was
they have the right to retaliate?
well, Hamas is part of Iran. Iran backs
Sure,
them, so
sure.
they started it, and then Hezbollah. I mean, people forget Hezbollah is actually more supported by Iran than even Hamas, and Hezbollah was firing rockets like October 8th. So, I mean, they got into it early on as well, and so in my eyes, that's a war. It's no different than somebody attacking our military base in Iraq, and then we launch it. I mean, what do you think?
It's kind of an interesting situation, right? Because Yes, while Hamas is an arm of Iran in the sense that they fund them, it was not a direct attack from, say, like the Iranian military or a direct bombing by Iran or something like that, which is coming. As we all know, part of the retaliation effort, I think even at the UN, I know you hate I cite the UN, but even at the UN, I think Iran came out and said we are going to strike Israel.
Uh-huh.
So that's
Yeah.
definitely coming for sure. We thought it was going to be yesterday. That did not happen. I think even Trump came out, like you had said,
Yeah.
on like national TV in a rally or something like that, that Iran was going to retaliate against Israel. And I think that's true. Um,
Yeah,
do they
it'll
have a
happen.
right to? That's a tough question to ask, really, because they really only killed like one or two guys in Iran,
Yeah, but they
versus
killed
obviously the
the head of
widespread.
Hamas. Like
Right.
Hamas attacked
Um,
them. They didn't go and kill Khamenei or whatever. Like I mean, they could have obviously. I guess they could kill anybody. Apparently, I don't know.
right. They didn't kill some like low level guy. But I guess the question has to be begged and asked if Israel has the intelligence to be able to plant a bomb in somebody's fucking residence 2 months in advance to blow him up, why the fuck couldn't they stop the October 7th attacks?
Uh,
When
actually,
when we know they had intelligence that something was
yeah.
going to happen and they didn't do anything about it. So I think you have to kind of look at things from that perspective too. Like,
Well, the
did
Israelis, the
they
people
did
are.
they do did they George Bush themselves and like pull their own 9/11
No,
so that they could go in and wipe out Hamas?
nah.
Again, Hamas is a terrorist organization, so they're gonna do terror shit like they normally do, which is October 7th. It's not to say that they did not plan that attack. They obviously killed the guy who orchestrated the attack, but did they let it go on purpose?
I doubt it, but I won't say no just because anything could be possible. It's kind of moot, right? Like it happened and now we're here.
Yeah, but now it's worse. They're going to be dragging us into a prolonged war that we're going to have to get more and more involved in.
Well, they're not dragging
You,
us into anything. They
yes,
were
they are. Yep.
attacked. You're
No.
saying from the
Yes. No, they were attacked. Yes, but it has been made very apparent that Netanyahu is escalating war with Iran, with Hezbollah, which is also technically Iranian since they're Iranian backed and stuff. But he's provoking a little bit more than what they were going to do. And now
so
with the assassinations, it's going to escalate things even further.
allow me to point this out. It was Hamas that attacked, and then Israel went in and hammered the Gaza Strip. And then America said, nah, don't hammer the Gaza Strip. So they were like, okay. So then they kind of pulled back. Then it was, oh, there's going to be like mass starvation or famine. That didn't happen. Then it was like, oh, you can't move 2 million civilians out of Rafah. It's impossible. And then they did it in like 2 days. And now it's like, they're like limit civilian casualties. That's been basically like they're limiting civilian casualties.
Now,
And
now
yeah, so
they
every
were
time
not
we've said
before.
like
They
do
were
it
not
do it
before.
no, they were not before, but it's like do it this way, and then they're like okay, we'll do it this way. And now it's like early on they were like just to go after the leadership, don't like destroy everything. And now they're going after the leadership, and it's like, well, you're going to escalate. And it's like Hamas can't just replace. Hamas isn't like a ragtag band of pirates or whatever. Like they have like a military structure. There's a command structure. Well, they've already eliminated so much of that command structure, and you can't just get somebody from like a battalion and like, okay, now you're the guy in charge, right? So like
Sure.
they've
But it's
kind
going
of
to get
killed off the
worse with
leadership of
Hezbollah.
Hamas. Well, Hezbollah,
I don't even
I
think they
know,
give a fuck about Hamas anymore.
I don't think they do
Hamas is
either.
like is kind of done for them, right? But they just found a tunnel. I shared that article with
I
you
knew it was gonna. I knew
that
it. Yeah.
goes into Egypt, which is funny because you told me that can't happen, and it does.
No, I did.
Big enough that
I said that the problem
they
was
can.
with Rafa is that they were going to find the tunnel underneath the border, and Egypt didn't
No,
want that.
no, 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 because you also said that Hamas has no place to go. The tunnels don't go into Egypt. and they have nowhere to escape to. And I told you that that's not true, and I guarantee you it's not true.
Well,
And
I don't want to go
then
back
we
and
saw
relitigate
this.
that, but
Sure.
the
But
concrete came from
this
somewhere.
tunnel is large enough that they can drive military vehicles through.
It's a big deal.
So who's giving them these any kind of military vehicles? Is Egypt supplying them, or is Egypt allowing them at least to come through the country to try
Turn a
and give
blind
them
eye.
military style vehicles? I think that question also needs to be asked. But
Well,
nobody is. Obviously, nobody's looking at Egypt as mostly anything except for what Israel wants them to take in some Palestinians or something like that, which they don't want to do.
yeah.
It's weird, man, because Hezbollah is way more powerful than Hamas is, and as we know, Israel has had, especially early on, trouble fighting Hamas. You know, the U.S. government, I believe, okayed for Israel to bomb Hezbollah sites in Lebanon, but they are actually considering a ground invasion on some of those sites, which would ultimately kind of violate the sovereignty of a country by ultimately invading Lebanon. Sure, it's to root out terrorists, but you do have to worry about the sovereignty portion there.
Do you think they
And I
care?
believe, I believe it's widely considered that Lebanon or the Lebanese do not support Hezbollah, but they kind of allow them there, which is, I know, a really weird situation to say, but I believe that's true. Do
We
I
allow
think
cartels
Israel
on our
cares?
border.
No, and certainly we do.
So
Do I think Israel cares? No, because time and time again, Biden has said, not that he's even really the president anymore, but he has said, this is a red line, this is a red line, this is a red line, and Netanyahu has shit on those red lines. And
why
then
would you
Netanyahu
wouldn't
comes
even
to the U.S., and Biden doesn't meet with him. Kamala Harris doesn't meet with him. He meets with Trump.
well, he met
And
with
there's,
them eventually, but
yeah, eventually.
the word is that this is why Netanyahu did what he did and didn't tell the Americans is because he's got about 3 months or 6 months, I guess 6 months, until a new administration comes into the White House, which is going to be literally true now. We know for a fact now it's going to be a whole new administration. So Israel now has 6 months with a lame duck applesauce brain president, and they're going to do whatever they can in that time.
Oh, 100%. But I think it kind of goes both ways too, right? Like Hezbollah, Iran, the U.S. does not want a war with Iran. For as much as people think they don't have nukes, they probably either have small portions of it from either purchasing it on the black market,
Well, they have
or
uranium.
they've produced one to some extent, or can probably in the next few months. So the U.S. does not want a wider war with Iran, for sure, and it does seem to an extent that Israel is kind of provoking that a little bit. Um, Again, I had talked about, you always don't bring up Netanyahu, but he's the prime minister, so you kind of have to. Clearly, he wants to hold on to power. Not that he's not being attacked in any capacity, but if he definitely pulls off a ground invasion of Lebanon, we're going to have a lot of issues. And then, obviously we'll see what happens with Iran retaliating for those assassinations. But if I'm Iran, it's kind of like, yeah, we were attacked on our land, but like they killed a terrorist leader, and we shouldn't be known. It is known that they're directly funding one, but if you come out and retaliate because they killed a terrorist, like, then you're just kind of putting it out in the open. Um, so I don't know, man. The Middle East is really fucked, and it does need to be said. And Trump makes this point, and I think it's a very salient point. Is none of this shit happened under him. The worst thing that happened under him was him having to drop bombs on Syria, and he didn't even kill anybody. He just bombed like an airfield, and they were like, "Okay, cool, we're good."
That was like the
And
first week or so, right?
right, a lot of that shit
Uh,
stopped. He was like, "Yeah, I'll fuck you up, like without question." And then Biden gets in, and look at fucking where we are now. I mean, it is we talked about it, I believe, for the debate. You know, Trump said it at the debate. He's like, I'm the only president who hasn't started any new wars. And that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, I guess Biden has time to start a new war still, if you don't count the
Does
proxy
he?
wars.
Does he? Is he even alive?
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Is he
this is
alive?
we got a
Or is it
perfect little
Gavin
transition
Newsom?
here. We have 14 presidents running the United States right now. Secretary Blinken, Obama, Kamala Harris. Who else is running the country right now? Oh, Hunter Biden, Jill Biden. Yeah, it's really Lloyd Austin. We got a lot of presidents right now.
Probably Mayor Pete.
Probably Mayor Pete. God damn it. Yeah, so
Thank God they didn't pick him for VP at least. Ugh.
I mean,
I'm tired of
he
him. He needs to go away.
I would agree with you. So Kamala Harris gets the nomination by coronation. She's still has 0 delegates. She's not won a single vote, but we live in a democracy, so she gets chosen by the party.
Exactly.
Kind of like the Soviet Union, right? And she picks her running mate today. And I know what you're thinking. Like, you have to win Pennsylvania if you're going to be the president this year, right? Swing state, very important. The popular governor there with 60% approval rating seems like a no-brainer. Very uncontroversial choice. And she said, nah, I'm good. I'm going to pick this radical asshole from, what is it, Minnesota.
Minnesota.
The governor of Minnesota. What do you... Go off.
Lest we forget that Minnesota was burning back in 2020. And then, you and I, after hearing the news, were like, oh, good. She brought in a socialist to basically try and help her win an election. I don't believe Minnesota's a swing state, correct?
Well, he doesn't have as much support as they've had in the past. So he's actually eroded Democratic support within the state. Okay. But I would consider it not really a swing state, but it could be in the future.
Could be. Okay. So he's a problem for sure. He said one person's socialism is another person's neighborliness.
What the fuck does that mean?
Well, I don't care what it means. He can fuck right off with that, because
it sounds horrible.
We have seen that the U.S. is ultimately attempting to reject socialism. By and large, people are willing to vote for these like more moderate Democrats and stuff like that. And I believe one of the big reasons why like the squad and all that didn't come for Biden to step down was because they saw him as more of like a pawn, because he was trying to implement some more progressive ideas. And that's what they wanted. And ultimately, obviously didn't happen really, but I think that they viewed him more in that regard. Well, now you have an actual fucking socialist, back there. Funny enough, Kamala Harris has switched on virtually every one of her platform stances from 2020 to now. She was heavily progressive, heavily socialist back in 2020, and now is becoming more of a moderate centrist. That's all bullshit.
They want you to believe that, but
they absolutely want you to believe that. But that's because they need the moderate vote for Democrats, and we've seen, again, like I said, Democrats kind of reject that socialist aspect, and they're trying to now whitewash everything and like make her appear to be a moderate. They've taken away things like that she was the border czar, which we know was a fact. They're trying to basically paint these accomplishments after them writing so many fucking articles about how bad she is. It will be interesting to see as time goes on, the people who worked in her office come out and speak. Republicans are going to be doing some oppo and trying to find these people, because she had a 90% turnover rate for
92.
people who worked in her office. That is fucking insane.
It's crazy.
Okay. I know somebody who said, I'm friends with this black woman, she said that Kamala Harris is very well spoken. I said, no, the fuck she's not. There is plenty out there for you to know that she is not that well spoken. Um, some of the feedback from people that she has worked with have said that she never comes prepared for anything. She even like softball questions, she gets all flustered and then blames them for not being prepared, even though they tried to prepare her. She's an awful candidate, and she picked an awful running mate. And I think you said it to me today, is that it kind of resets for Trump because he was looking pretty bad, and the polls were gaining in favor for Kamala Harris, and maybe this is the reset that they need.
Yeah. So the reason why she didn't pick Josh Shapiro is because he's Jewish. That has to be the reason. Because this guy is, not only does he undo all of her walkbacks, like all of her policy changes, like they tried to walk it all back, and then they get this guy, and not only did he agree with her on everything, he actually went a step further, where he was letting people burn the cities down, and then she was supporting the fund to bail them out. It was like a pipeline for these people during 2020. Let's see what else we got here. He got out of the military, the National Guard, when we went into Iraq, so he tried to avoid military service and deployment.
Ooh, didn't know
He put
that one.
tampons in the boys' bathrooms in schools.
He got called Tampon Tom.
Tim Schultz. Or Tim Schultz? So that was
Tim Waltz.
Waltz.
Walz. He got
Oh
called
my
Tampon
God.
Tim.
What a stupid idea. What else do we got on him so far?
Oh, his wife opened the windows of their house and could smell the burning tires, and she thought that that was okay because people are just expressing themselves. We have, let's see, the media called it a mostly peaceful protest when it was on fire and they were burning the whole fucking city down.
Peaceful.
Fiery but mostly peaceful.
The
yeah,
daughter
that makes sense.
So both of these guys have both of these candidates have bad daughters who support bad causes. The daughter was on Twitter at the time telling everybody that like the National Guard wasn't going to come out that one night or whatever. She obviously got that information from her father.
Sure. She was she was kind of directing the rioters, saying that, they're saying that the National Guard is going to come in, but I promise you it's not going to come in. Just because people say it on the news doesn't make it true, something like that. And that's correct. She was stating correctly, because they did not call in the National Guard, I don't believe, that wasn't going to happen, and basically to continue burning the city down. And I'd be interested to actually see the numbers of what it costs to rebuild all of that.
Yeah, it was, I believe, $63 billion damage. That's a number I'm pulling out of a memory I had. I've got a video clip here in front of me right now. I'm not going to play it, but it's Tim Waltz at the White House saying that, quote, Joe Biden is fit for office. This was 1 month ago, right? Which we know isn't true. This is right after the debate, by the way. So after that bad debate, he said basically the president was fine. Now he wants his job, apparently. What else do we got here? Yeah, I don't know. There's a laundry list of bad stuff from this guy. More to come.
Yeah, I think this was definitely a bad pick. I think JD Vance was a bad pick in hindsight for the RNC, and you and I did not know a lot about him, but the DNC is just painting him and Trump as weird, and apparently that's sticking.
It won't stick anymore because she just picked a weird guy.
He's weird. Maybe. The problem is that Trump and JD Vance are kind of leaning into the whole weird thing and trying to like maybe flip it back at them, and that hasn't really been working out, so that could be problematic for sure. But you're right. The thing is, the news and the media is going to try and erase, all of the negative things about Tim Waltz and everything else. So I don't know. So I got a notification that it says your recording will continue on a new track, so we'll have to
Great.
be able to merge them later. It's
I
okay.
love splicing
Mine's,
podcasts together.
you know it.
Yeah.
Mine's still going though, so
All right.
continue
Well,
on.
yeah. Hopefully, I can get them all lined up. Yeah. So he's pretty awful. So why would you pick that guy over Josh Shapiro, right? Who's gonna like give you your swing state that you need to be president? It's because he's
Well, I
Jewish.
know there was like a thought too that it didn't matter if Josh Shapiro left because his lieutenant governor was pretty similar to him, and people were willing to work with him. So the prevailing thought really was that Josh Shapiro could leave his role as governor, and we wouldn't see an upheaval here in Pennsylvania. Who knows if that's true or not? Yeah, I mean, I
Well,
guess the only people who know the truth are Kamala Harris. She decided to release some cringy ass video of her like fake calling Tim Waltz and like giving him the VP nod. Um, and it's just like, how much cringier can fucking Democrats really get?
I don't know, man. That I don't think Republicans have been filmed doing that. It's so embarrassing because it's fake. It's just fake.
Oh,
You got a camera
definitely.
in the.
It's
Oh,
like,
you got a camera in your house, dude. An HD like 4K camera that's filming you in real time. That's cool.
all the
Don't we
time.
all?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. So the market also crashed this week a little bit. Not sure how that's going to go. Not sure if that's going to play in the politics of the moment.
Well, it's kind of funny because they're saying the Fed missed the moment to lower rates and that they just held them too high for too long. And then that's the cause why it started crashing. Has nothing to do with a socialist picking a socialist for vice president or anything, which, as we know, will be bad for business.
Well, the
But it was
Japanese
a
yen
quick
apparently had
correction.
problems. Yeah.
Yeah, we were seeing markets crash all over the place. Japan, Europe, they started shutting down their markets and stuff. And I know somebody personally who benefited from the market crashing. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Uh, but you
Which
know,
one of
uh,
us is that?
buy.
You?
They always say to buy the dip. No, it's you.
Wow. I had a little walking around
I
money
was
laying
trying not to.
around.
I was just trying to be roundabout about it, and you had to
uh,
go directly for it.
hey man,
Uh,
I'll I won't throw the whole kitchen sink in, but I'll throw some money around if it feels right.
You'll dabble. You'll
Yeah, I'll
dabble.
dabble. I mean, I've
But
been wanting
you
Nvidia for a
know,
while now.
it's funny because you and I have been talking about this for a long time, and the government has somehow managed to say get fucked and keep everything afloat. But they had a very poor jobs report that came out, and that kind of helped trigger the crash. So that's squarely, obviously, on Biden and Kamala Harris, although somehow they'll try to blame Trump for that happening. But poor jobs report started triggering foreign markets to really start tanking, which is really kind of funny because it's like, why would the U.S. jobs market impact other countries so much that their stock markets have to go down? Um, but then ours started to go down, and that's good for the average person because if you have some money, it's a good idea to do your own research and get into some good projects that can get you some money. I guess some people are thinking that the AI situation is just a bubble, which I find really
It might
interesting
be.
because
Yeah.
yeah, but everybody said the same thing about the internet. They said the same thing about crypto, and none of
Yeah,
those
but they
things are
were
going
bubbles,
anywhere.
right? The pets.com bubble. So like the internet happens, right? And then there's infrastructure. So people invested in companies like Palo Alto and whatever else, they built the hardware for the internet. And then there were companies built off the backbone of the internet. And then that was a bubble and they popped. So AI might not be anything more than a backbone, but there might be stuff on top of it that is possibly a bubble. So I see the potential. I
I
see the
I
argument.
don't know. I don't think it's going anywhere. Like AI is
It's
not
not
going
going anywhere
away.
now.
It's not going away. So if anything, sure there'll be a huge run up and then a burst and a consolidation, just like there was with the internet, and like there kind of is with with anything. Like, it happened in tech too, which is why you see all these tech companies purchasing up smaller companies, which just ends up kind of creating another bubble. We see it with banks and shit as well. You know, big banks are starting to purchase little banks and stuff. So I don't know. I don't think it's a bubble. I think it's a good investment right now. But you got to get out at the right time for sure.
Well, you know, Nvidia's trading at, I think, 53 times earnings right now. So that won't go forever. So there's stuff like that where it's kind of like problematic. Nvidia's on my mind just because I think they have the potential to be the largest company in the world pretty soon. So
I think once the chips manufacturing actually gets up and running in the U.S., which we know that was actually probably Biden's biggest accomplishment, in my opinion, was actually
sure.
to try and bring chips manufacturing to the U.S. because we rely strictly pretty much on Taiwan at this point for chips, and that hasn't worked out. Especially if China does decide to invade Taiwan, that will completely disrupt the chips market, and we use them in just about everything. You know, they want you to like recycle your like um electronics and like all that other stuff so that they can take the chips from them and reuse them. Um, and that's been going on actually for a few years because of COVID. Actually, really kind of especially fucked up the chips market too. Um, so I think once the chips start coming back to America and they can start pushing those things out more and more, that Nvidia stock will go up. AMD is another chips producer and computer components producer that's going to probably skyrocket. They're already trading at like around $160 a share. When even just a couple of years ago when I bought it, it was $55 a share. So I think that bears out obviously in what we were just talking about. But buy stock when it
Well,
goes
yeah.
down.
I
Buy
mean,
stock if you can.
if you think that the chip manufacturing's come back to America, get some Doritos stock. They make a lot of chips. Um, yeah, it's cool. What time are we at here? 43. Let me see. Other news. Oh, Deadpool came out to be like $900 billion juggernaut or whatever it is now. Almost $1 billion after like 3 weeks. Longlegs did really good. That made about 30 million, I think. So I cannot hear you right now, sir. You might be muted.
Sorry, I
It's
muted
okay.
myself. Longlegs actually has reached like the 80 million worldwide
Oh,
mark,
cool.
which
Good.
is
I hope we
huge. I mean,
we want those movies to do good because that means
it
more of
was
them.
already Neon's like highest grossing film of all time, and it just kind of keeps going and going. And I don't think people had high expectations for that movie, but I sure as fuck did. It was really, really good. You know, I've been going seeing movies lately quite a bit.
Tell us about
I
some
went
of
to
the
see
movies you've seen. Yeah.
I went to go see Trap, M Night Shyamalan's newest film, and it was decent. Josh Hartnett was pretty good in it.
I do want to mention something about Josh Hartnett since you brought it up. Vanity Fair does this video series. It's on YouTube. You can look it up, and they'll interview an actor and go through like significant movies in the career of that actor. And I thought Josh Hartnett's was really interesting because first of all, he comes across as a very intelligent man. He's like very smart, humble person. But did you know that he got, I think he was 21 when he got Pearl Harbor and Black Hawk Down. You know, like roughly around that age. I
Really?
didn't know he was that young.
Only
Yeah.
21? I didn't know he
Yeah.
was that young either. Especially to be acting alongside Ben Affleck in uh, Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, I guess he was,
He had to have been in his 30s.
Robert Rodriguez liked him and brought him in for The Faculty. And that was the first
Yep.
role he had. So
No
I thought that
way.
was kind of interesting.
I mean, he's had some good movies. He was in what 30 Days of Night,
I love that movie. There's a
which
scene in
was
that movie I
pretty
love.
good.
You know the scene.
It's a pretty solid vampire movie.
It was in
40
Oppenheimer.
Days and 40 Nights. Yeah, Oppenheimer. Halloween. Age 20.
Not a
Um,
good movie, but
so no, not particularly. Lucky Number 11.
I
I
hate
don't
the
know if you ever
title of
saw
that movie.
that.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
It's
the
terrible.
title's not great, but it is actually not a bad movie. So he's done some good stuff. He was really, really good in this, playing the serial killer role. That is not a spoiler. It's in the fucking trailer. So go watch it.
What else
Just
did you
like
see?
so many of M. Night Shyamalan's movies, it kind of weakens in the third act. Let's see, what else did I go see? I saw Twisters. I really liked that.
I'm looking
Thought that
forward to
was
that one.
good. I know our super fan also enjoyed that movie, so I saw that. I think I mentioned I went to see the movie Kill,
Yeah.
which is a Hindu John Wick film. That was really good. And I went to see Deadpool and Wolverine. I saw that. I guess it'll be 2 weeks ago this Thursday, and I was lucky enough to
Dun,
get
dun, dun,
this here
dun.
popcorn bucket
That's really neat.
with moving mouth and a twisty wheel. It also has a little stand with it.
Where's
I
the
will
popcorn
say I
go?
opened it up because all of that shit was in there in the top here,
Ah,
but it's not that deep. Like,
no.
that may be a small popcorn.
That's a small
Maybe.
popcorn.
Not
Hmm.
even. That's like a child's popcorn, in my
Baby
opinion.
popcorn.
Yeah.
Well, we've got.
And
Oh,
and I got this here
oh,
Wolverine cup.
that's cool.
And it's got a little Wolverine on the top.
Ah, look at that. I
Yeah.
like that.
It's pretty neat. Now they had a Deadpool cup. I did not get both. This was like $25 or $26, and the popcorn bucket was $40. They also had a Wolverine popcorn bucket, but they were sold out. Otherwise, I probably just would have gotten both popcorn buckets.
Well,
But it's a
they're
pretty big cup. It seems pretty
yeah, it's
sturdy.
totally a cup. I am. I think you and I are both looking forward to a movie coming out soon for the popcorn buckets because the Alien Romulus
Fuck yeah.
popcorn buckets are cool. They're so
I'm
cool that I'm
taking
afraid I'm not
off
going to
of
get one.
work.
Yeah.
I'm taking off of work. So my buddy told me, because he also was talking to me about these buckets, said on the Alien subreddit that some people are being able to call their movie theaters, and if they have them, purchase them now. So I'm gonna have to start doing that,
Let me
and
know how
I'll
that
call
goes because
around
I don't
because
want
I
to bug
want
my movie
these.
theater.
Oh,
Like if
I
I
don't
worked at,
care. There's a bunch
it's
of
like why are these people calling me about the stupid popcorn bucket? But it's an important popcorn bucket.
well, I went to my more local movie theater. It's not as nice as the one I'm gonna have to go to get the popcorn bucket. I don't think they get a ton of them. Like I don't think they're gonna get the cool ones like these ones. They get like the Despicable Me one, which I imagine they just kind of put so many of them out there. Whereas these are gonna be harder to get. But like I said, are you guys getting the Alien Romulus popcorn bucket? And they were like, the what? I was like, Alien
Oh,
Romulus pop, and they're like, what is that? I'm like, a fucking movie? It's coming out in like 2 weeks. Like, why don't you know that? You work at a movie theater. Like, I'm
people
pretty sure you
suck.
should know what the fuck is coming out. And I'm like, you guys suck. So I don't even want to go there anymore. But I'm taking the day off. I already have it set up. So my problem with acquiring the Deadpool stuff is I was supposed to go and hit this movie at 4 o'clock, but I wasn't going to make it, so I ended up having to change the time. Well, my wife dropped me off, and she was like, just go in and see if you can get the popcorn buckets, but you couldn't. You had to have a ticket to get over to the concession stand, so I wasn't able to do it. But the one movie theater that I typically go to that I know will get the popcorn bucket, you don't need a ticket to go up to the concession stand. So I'm gonna go in, buy the fucking popcorn bucket or multiple if they will allow me to, so I can make sure that you get one. And then I'm gonna drive 45 minutes in a opposite direction to go to a different movie theater that I think has a different popcorn bucket so that I can get both of them.
And the goal for me is the same. I'm planning on trying to get to the Cinemark and to the AMC because
That's
they
both of
each
the ones
have
I'm going to as well.
yeah, they each have different buckets. So, all right.
Yeah, Cinemark has the Xenomorph head, which will be really fucking cool. And
Yep.
then AMC, I believe, has the Facehugger bucket.
Which I think is like awesome. Oh,
Yeah, they're
it's such
both
a good
awesome.
idea. Yeah. I've never been excited for a popcorn bucket before, Bradley.
I wanted the Deadpool one. I don't know why. I will say I was not sure that it looked like this. I was not aware.
It's strange.
But I like it. It's
Yeah.
neat.
Um,
And you know what? Not everybody's gonna have one, so fuck you.
a lot of people would pay a lot of money for that popcorn bucket. Probably
I'm never
double.
gonna put anything in it, so we'll see.
Or I would put some
Double
money
my
in it.
investment.
Or maybe a brain. Maybe that lump they took off your head. Just throw that
There you
in
go.
there.
Yeah, but then it might start like talking and shit. Do you really want two of me on the podcast? Like,
The
fuck
resemblance is striking.
you, Aaron.
We've got two segments. What are you doing? What are you bringing to the table today here, sir? Or do you want me to go first?
Actually, you kind of ruined my segment a little bit. I was gonna say we need to start having a segment called like movie shit that we buy. And I was gonna
Whoa.
show off my movie shit.
Great minds think alike.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, actually, for listeners who only listen, you don't see the video version of the podcast, but I moved into my game library, and I have a lot of crazy shit in here, so I thought, why don't I just pull something off the shelf once every episode, or maybe a couple things, and just show them off, because they're all pretty cool. And that's what I did. So today, the first thing I'm going to show is that I got this Game & Watch, and it's a newer thing. It came out recently. So Nintendo came out with a bunch of these.
To a Game Boy.
Yeah, so Game & Watches go back a long way. Nintendo put these out like I think in like the 80s. Like that's how far back these go. And this is a retro product, but it's got a color screen on it, and it's got a built-in alarm clock, and you can play Mario on it, Super Mario Brothers. And
I'm gonna go ahead and
cool.
assume you're not gonna wear that.
Wear what?
The gaming watch that you just purchased.
Oh, it's not a gaming watch. It's a Game & Watch. That's what it's called.
Oh, Game & Watch. I'm sorry. It sounded like you said gaming watch.
No, Game & Watch. That's it's the name of the product. So these games came out back in the day, and they had like little mini games on them that you could collect, but they were like those old Tiger Electronics handhelds. And this is like a brand new one, but it's got the full version of the game on it. I also have the Legend of Zelda one, and that has the full version of the Legend of Zelda from the Nintendo on it.
Interesting.
So that's my show and tell.
Okay. So you're picking one item.
I could pick two, because I got this other one I just want to show off. Because it's right in front of me. I have the Xbox Adidas.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. So I collect Adidas, so why wouldn't I have this? I'm going to do my best to describe it. So it's got a little Xbox logo on it from the 360 era.
Oh, that better be one of them fucking pumps, dude.
And then it's got the little power button switch thing on the bottom there. And it's got just a few little Easter eggs, so it's a pretty cool shoe. I'm like way into it.
And you're never going to wear them?
This one, no. I will never wear these.
Did you at least buy a second pair so that you can wear them?
Nah.
See, that's where you're fucking up. You gotta buy one to collect and one to use. Okay?
Well, it wasn't a priority at the time. So that's my new segment, and it's the best segment ever, because I just love talking about all my video games, so I'll just whip one off the shelf, and we'll go from there.
I love that the segments we come up with are so vastly different.
Yeah. Well, you were going to say show off movies. Could do a little movie dump, but... Because I have a stack.
Well, you have a lot of that stuff, so I actually think it just... Honestly, it's we can do something about, like, collectibles, right? So, like, obviously, collectible... The Wolverine thing, collectible... My... Tabletop Burger Time.
One of the worst arcade games ever made.
You're an idiot. It's one of the best arcade games ever made. Play Burger Time. I bought this on Facebook Marketplace for like $10. So
I think it's cool that you have your little Burger Time. I wouldn't invest a nickel at Burger Time, but that's a personal decision.
So we just show off collectibles.
Yeah, that's kind of all I've got. So we've been going for about an hour now. You want to call it? I have a good reason. My laptop battery is dying.